Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Aboot Soccer podcast. We are in the studio. I am Jules alongside Cal and Haas. I just want to start by saying thank you for everybody who watched the first episode in which we did our Premier League predictions and we kind of teed up this year's season. If you haven't seen it and you're interested, please look us up on YouTube if you want to watch it or on Spotify if you want to listen. Today, we've gone through a month of the season, um, and now we're at the vaunted international break that everyone hates.
Absolute worst time of the
It's
season
just
for me.
fucking useless.
Arsenal prevailed 3-1 against United over the weekend. Declan Rice worth 105 million, 100%. And yeah, let's talk about the first month of the season. How have you felt about United so far?
Well, it's been dog shit. It's been awful. Um, I've I said even before we did the predictions officially that I thought we were gonna have a terrible season and struggle. I went back on that just because I thought we had to. I just had to back my team. Traditionally slow starting since Ferguson left anyway, but I mean the signings haven't really worked. There's just no positives at the moment.
It was a big test for you Saturday.
The Saturday's the only game this season that I've been somewhat happy with because if Garnacho's goal stood, which it should have, and we will be talking about a completely different game.
Gabriel pulled a little Michael Jackson there, kept them
But
offside.
you think about it, against Wolves, they weren't even playing a striker, and arguably that was a penalty. They should have got a result from that. Not Forest went 2 up. Like
Yeah.
we have been dog shit, and now I'm thinking we won't even. We'll be battling for top 4, and that'll be a successful season for us.
So your prediction of you finishing second
Completely
gone?
out the window. It's done.
It's been what, 2 weeks?
Oh, I mean,
I
yeah.
mean, the comments on our videos agree with you as well.
I mean, it doesn't. Honestly, you know what I've been going through last like 3 years when I've been obviously living with you guys. Not excited to watch United. There's just been brief moments where I'm like, okay, I actually like this team again. There's players on the pitch that are playing for the badge. Another positive, that Hoyland that came on looked pretty game. Like he got a bit of dog in him.
Yeah, he was bullying Gabriel
Yeah,
a
exactly.
lot.
Yeah, I like that. Like it's good to see. But Sancho, he can do one. He can go. It's
What about Anthony?
I mean, yeah, I don't want to get into that. If you're talking about his ongoing,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we seem to be breeding them at the moment.
All right, yeah, disappointing start for United for sure.
Shit.
And on the other side of things, Liverpool, how we looking?
Looking pretty good if you ask me. To be honest, wasn't really. I mean, after watching that first Chelsea game, I was not excited about the season. I'm like, okay, here we go again. Like this is not looking too good. But super happy with the transfer window, how it ended. You guys all know how I was so nervous. I was just constantly messaging you guys. I'm not seeing any stories about Liverpool. Like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? But those 4 signings, I think, completed the transfer window really well. I'm still a little bit nervous about our defenders. I feel like one injury, as we talked about last week, could change the game. Also, don't forget, Salah's our only recognized right wing. Trent, as well. Like, he doesn't really have much cover. So I don't know. It's I'm still feeling pretty good. Like we played really really well. That Aston Villa game, they didn't trouble us too much whatsoever. The Newcastle comeback with 10 men down, Darwin Nunez, starting to show a little bit more consistency, which is nice to see. Even in the Villa game, like he should have scored a few, and Liverpool fans will admit it. But him and Salah are striking up a really nice partnership, and they're looking really dangerous. Um, but yeah, no, super, super excited. I'm pretty confident. I was telling Callum on the way here, I'm pretty confident Liverpool finish top 4 if we can remain healthy. I feel like a couple injuries might change things, but very, very confident we finish top 4 now. Um, and I would say, I'm confident we finish above United, to be honest.
Salah's on his way out, though.
Sorry?
Salah's on his way out.
Yeah, what do you think
He's got
about that?
215 million today.
If you got 150 to 200 million,
They-
would you not take that?
They bid officially 215 today. So I'm not sure if it's been
Even
obviously
official? I didn't
it's
see
official.
that.
Even if you had
215.
to wait till the January transfer window to spend the funds, would you not be happy with that?
Obviously, I would. Like
You're
you
taking
take
that money.
150
You're
or
taking
200
that money.
million in a heartbeat. Because like, if you're selling him to a regular team, outside the Saudi league, you're not getting that type of money. That being said, like I just said, we don't have a recognized right wing other than him. Yes, Jota can play there. Whatever they can fill in there, but I don't know. I just feel like the season's off to a great start, and if we really want to finish top four and we want to accomplish something this season and make up for last season, I think he needs to stay.
Paul Merson reckons that you can just go out and buy Saka for some strange reason from
So
Arsenal.
yeah,
They
that
literally,
when you told me about that, I was so confused. First of all, Saka's
yeah, I know.
Arsenal
He's not
star boy,
Arsenal throw in there.
and
Yeah,
like he loves Arsenal. Why would he ever leave? Like
it's
it
the
doesn't make no
most.
sense.
It's so
Why
stupid.
would we even commission
I
that?
don't know. I don't
Like,
know. I don't
Yeah.
know why he's an
Paul
Arsenal
Merson,
fan.
yeah.
No, it's a
Paul Merson always
legend though.
he's an absolute legend,
Yeah,
but sometimes he
if
sounds
we
some
wanted
just
200 million, we'd sell him to the Saudi league for 350.
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I just still think we could sell like he can go to the Saudi league next summer and we can probably get like 100 million. I think it's worth that difference for him to stay this season. He's already absolutely killing it. I think he has goal involvements in his last 10 Premier League games in a row. Liverpool were 15 unbeaten in a row in the Premier League, so I think just things are really looking really good. And
are you making
yeah,
top four if he moves away?
Whew. Tough. But I still think we'll probably squeeze it through. Not. Yeah, I don't know. I think we'd still do it. I
Yeah.
think we'd still do it.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, obviously Arsenal,
Hmm.
massive performance. You love to see it. Like you
Yeah.
love when Declan Rice scored that goal. He sprinted to the corner, slid on his knees. You could just see on his face the relief.
Yeah.
There's even a video after the game where he's rewatching the moment. Somebody showed him on the phone,
Yeah.
and he was just like, "Mate, you
Okay.
never get used to seeing that feeling, that moment of elation." And we've had a couple in recent years, like last year the Reece Nelson goal.
Hmm.
We've had a couple of those moments, and every time you watch them, it just
Yeah.
Game was an absolute robbery.
mate,
He's still arguing with the offside, but I feel like
it's the
it's the
first
technology. It's off or on, right?
it's the first time Barchester United has been
Yeah.
done in by VAR,
It's
and
like
now you guys are like complaining
it's like
about
a
it.
nostril hair off. And I swear they
The
were
lines are drawn.
speaking like giving the benefit to the striker in those very tight situations. That I mean, it's just it
It's off.
But there's no black. There's no sorry. There's no gray.
Yeah, they
That's
haven't changed
offside.
the
It's
rules
black or
yet.
white,
well,
right?
they got to change the rules. Then.
Yeah, but it makes no difference. Like once they do, they'll give the benefit to the striker. There's still going to be the benefit
Off.
of a millimeter on or it's going to be the
Exactly.
same thing. It's just going to be a different point of measurement.
Yeah, they're just gonna be
So
drawing the
there's
line
always
somewhere differently, right?
the second you use camera, it's always going to have that issue where there's a millimeter on or off. It's not going to change ever.
I
So
don't know that, but
you were a millimeter off. Tough luck. Should have just defended it well. Johnny Evans and Maguire in there for you at the end.
yeah, great pairing,
Yeah, Leicester
legends.
City benefited 10 years ago. Um, yeah, beautiful moment for Arsenal. I do think, and other people have spoken about it, I think teams have figured out how to play against Arsenal,
Hmm.
and they actually clogged the center of the field. So the whole point of inverting one of the wing backs into the middle is to create that Pep box midfield,
Yeah.
Mm.
and you want to get the ball inside so that you can create some mismatches inside. But now teams have figured it out, and they've actually compressed everything into the middle to take away that box midfield and take away those passes inside. And now we're actually seeing an Arsenal playing a lot more down the flanks.
Hmm.
And guys like Gabriel Jesus and Nketiah, like those guys aren't the type of players you pound crosses into constantly.
sure.
So it's a little bit worrying. And I've said it a few times to you guys in the first few games already. We've um, had a ton of possession, a ton of passes, but empty possession,
Hmm.
down the wing. All right, back up, back up the wing, back to the center backs, back across the back line, back up the other wing. And we're probing and probing, but not finding that cutting edge. So, yeah, I mean, we've gotten the results so far, aside from that draw at Fulham. Um, Hopefully, Arteta can adjust on the fly. I mean, if I think Pep's doing it, so I have full confidence in Arteta to make the adjustments. One thing I am worried about is our defense. I mean, we needed to solidify the defense in the transfer window, and we got Timber, but now he's out for the season basically. And then we've sold Holding, and we've sent Tierney out on loan. So arguably, we're in the same spot as we were last year with less cover. So
Yeah, but I'm sure Kior will make that step up. Tomiyasu hopefully has more consistency in terms of being fit.
So yeah. Anyways, great start to the season for us. Very happy, and hopefully keep pushing forward. So what I wanted to do today, I know our first episode of the podcast is a little bit longer, it's
Mhm.
an hour 45, but it was a bit more a serious topic. You know, lot of road to cover, trying to get our predictions in for the whole season. For this podcast, I kind of want to run you through a few little segments, try to keep it under an hour, and then I think we'll finish with a little football quiz one-on-one, Cal versus Haas. And we'll keep track of who wins these quizzes throughout the year, and maybe we'll do a little forfeit at the end for the.
There's no point I even play, but yeah.
Okay, so the first segment I want to run through is called Studs and Duds. It's a very fantasy American football segment. They do it a lot when talking about NFL fantasy. But we're going to adapt it a little bit today for the first month of the Premier League season. So I want you both to pick a stud team, so a team that has overperformed or performed really strongly in the first month, and a dud team, a team that's just been terrible. And don't pick Burnley, Luton, or Sheffield because we already knew that. So
Mm.
Yeah.
try to be a bit creative. So I will start with Hassan. Who is your stud team for the first month of the season?
Well, I mean, there's a few to choose from, but I'll go with Spurs, just because, as you guys knew from the first episode, I'm a huge James Madison fan, and he's already looking like signing of the season. Also, just the way they're playing, obviously with the new manager, a lot more attacking, a lot more exciting, and we haven't said that in a while for Spurs, right? Since Poch. Last few managers, Nuno and Mourinho and Conte play a lot more defensive, and yeah,
I mean, he seems personality wise, he seems like exactly what they needed to. You know,
for
he's
sure.
not doesn't take himself too seriously, lightens the mood
Yeah.
whenever he's asked some
Mm.
tough questions, and that's probably
Well, you need a character, don't you, to with a big club?
well, like especially that club where it's all doom and gloom and never winning trophies, and you know he kind of hits back at the reporters, and
Mm.
you know he doesn't just sit there and take it. So I think,
I mean, don't get me wrong, Spurs won't win a trophy. Sorry, guys, but they'll never win a
well, I mean,
trophy.
they actually added the league cup, so that was quick for them.
But no, but they're looking really really good, and you know a lot of people are saying that they can push for top four. Obviously, no European football, but yeah, just going based off of the first few weeks, playing really exciting football, scoring a lot of goals. Heung-min Son, looks like he's killing it. Richarlison, like we talked about last week, looks a little off pace still, but Madison's on fire. The team looks really good. The signings look really good. So yeah, super super exciting to see for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely would have if I was choosing. I would have put them up there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to. That was my choice. Completely agree with Hassan. Madison's obviously killing it. I think Son as well. I mean, what did he bag? 3 goals the other day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's just flourishing without. It's not saying he wasn't flourishing without Kane there. Of course he was, but it looks like he's just got to the like stepping up even more now, taking that leadership role.
Do you want to choose another stud, maybe?
I mean, as an Arsenal fan, you know, I don't like the Spurs, so
Yeah.
I don't want to give them any respect. But what I will do is give West Ham
Yeah.
a bit of respect because I mean, they're what 3 wins and a draw so far.
Mhm. Yeah.
They sold, I mean, arguably the heart of their team, the heart
Mhm.
and soul of their squad. And then they repurposed the funds. They brought in 3 midfielders, Alvarez, um,
Ward-Prowse,
Ward-Prowse, and
Kudus.
Kudus. Yeah, so they
Mm.
brought in 3 really good signings. They've hit the ground running. I'm a bit worried they didn't sign a striker. They also brought in Mavropanos, the Greek
Center
guy.
back, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yet to be seen if they can keep it up through all the competitions and whatnot. But I definitely have to give them some respect. You know, you could have easily seen a big lag in form at the start. You know, you lose kind of that heart and soul guy.
Mm.
Players are kind of questioning, like, you know, are we going for it this year? So I have to give them some respect.
Yeah. To be fair as well, I agree with you in terms of the striker respect. We talked about that, but to be fair, Michael Antonio has been playing really, really well. I think he has a couple goals already,
Mm.
and
Hard not to love him as well.
it's hard not to like him exactly. And he has been a lot more consistent in more recent seasons. Like he's obviously you've seen the improvement a lot more and more.
Yeah.
I still think they are lacking another striker because Danny Ings, let's just be honest, obviously very injury prone. His career has been up and down.
Mm.
I always rated him. I thought he was great, but his career stalled when he moved to Liverpool. But yeah, they definitely need a bit of cover for Antonio. But so far, he's holding his own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I would also, I know I put Newcastle outside of my top four,
yeah,
but yeah, they've looked just as good as they were last year, if
yeah.
not better. And, I still do have some reservations about dealing with the European football and the depth they have at the back. But
Well, what do you
you
think?
watch that midfield hum
Yeah,
when you see Tonali, Joe Linton, those guys working it around the midfield. It's
I
beautiful
mean,
to
Brighton,
watch.
Brighton look fantastic as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's who United are facing next after the
Yeah.
international break. I mean, if we lose that, I mean, and there's a good chance. We're at home as well. And home as well. I honestly have no faith in this United squad at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of having no faith, those are the studs over the first 4 weeks of the Prem. Um, any duds that you kind of are disappointed at, apart from the obvious ones, we won't speak of them, but anybody you kind of have seen have
It's
underperformed?
got to be Everton, isn't it?
Everton.
Yeah, they're clueless all over the pitch. They're so easy to play against. Yeah,
What is that? 1 point in three or in four
in four
matches?
matches.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then I originally put Bournemouth also to go down because I didn't want to say Burnley, and I think they're sitting just above Everton at the moment as well.
yeah. To be fair, Bournemouth have had a tough. Like their first few fixtures were
It's
pretty
true.
tough.
Yeah.
Based on what I've seen, like
I mean, they're playing
they're
much
playing
better, much better.
much better, and
Yeah.
like they made a lot of good signings. So
Yeah.
I would still think Bournemouth will be safe.
Yeah.
Obviously we never know what's going to happen, but again, just tough run of fixtures at first. So I think the table's a little misguiding on that one,
Yeah.
but we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah, I think just seeing the quality, not saying none of these teams can turn it around, but just seeing the gap in quality between Burnley, Luton, and Sheffield versus the rest of the league.
I think that's like
It's going to
it's
be.
be a godsend to Everton. That's probably what is going to keep them safe. That
We'll see.
them three being so
don't
bad.
forget they drew against Sheffield, and Sheffield caused like Pickford. As much as we criticize him in general,
Yeah.
he did make a double,
Yeah.
big double save.
Wild double. Did you see that highlight?
Yeah,
Yeah, I did. I watched a few of the highlights.
Headed it straight into the ground.
Yeah,
Full
no,
extension,
yeah.
tipped it on the bar, then
Oh,
rebound,
exactly.
just swatted it
Number
away.
one.
yeah, because Sheffield could have won that game, right?
Yeah.
It could have gone either way, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like you were saying, Everton just don't look good all over the pitch. Like they're definitely missing quite a few, and they've gotten a lot of players as well.
Yeah.
Demarai Gray still pushing for a move, I think, to Saudi Arabia. Like
Yeah, that
he
was-
came out and he said his quote was, "I can't play for somebody that doesn't respect me." He was talking about Sean
Sean
Dyche.
Dyche.
Yeah. So I don't know. Everton just haven't in turmoil for so long
For
now.
so long.
Such like one of
Yeah,
the
when
worst
you
run
play
clubs.
with fire for that long,
Yeah.
eventually you're going to get burned. And
I
they've.
understand.
It's been 3-4 years now where they've
Just one of the worst run clubs.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Like think
Yeah.
about the transfers they've had over the years. Like they're spending big money on
Big
random
money.
players, and didn't Alex Iwobi leave as well to Fulham?
Yeah, what the
What are they
fuck was
doing?
that?
Like what are they doing? I just don't understand what are they doing.
What kind of intent does that tell your players? And like for all argument's sake, he was probably the best or one of the
Yeah.
best players on their squad last year. And then on the last day of the window, they sold him to
Fulham.
Fulham.
I can't remember if it was a
When you're in
sale
that
or-
squad and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
great. Like, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah, they're not leaving themselves with much. I
What
don't
was
know,
the intent behind that? Do you have like a year left on his contract?
I
He was
think
pushing for a
I
move.
have a feeling it was a loan. I can't remember. I think it was a loan out, but yeah, I honestly just don't know what they're
I
doing.
mean, if it's a loan, it's almost worse.
It is worse.
Like, what
I
is that
just-
even?
I think, and they have the most. Like I don't know. Everton's just such a poorly run club. They have the most expensive match day tickets, average match day ticket.
More than Arsenal?
Yeah. Arsenal's I think second or third, but I was looking at the chart the other day.
Yeah.
Like it's just I don't know. There's just a poorly run club. Major transfers that just never work out.
Yeah.
Questionable managerial decisions. Like
Yeah.
Rafa Benitez made no sense.
Yeah.
Agent
Agent
Rafa,
Rafa.
absolute legend.
So good.
But yeah, I don't know.
So you picked Everton as your dud. Are you picking Everton as well, or is there anybody else in there?
Yeah, I'm not gonna pick any of the three promoted teams. I think it's still too early to say. On
Villa,
those guys,
Villa's
like-
you've tied Villa to be up there, and they've not impressed really, have they?
Yeah, the defenders look shaky. Like they've conceded 3 against Liverpool, and honestly, we could have scored 4 or 5 more. Like Darwin should have scored a couple more. Like we could have scored a few more for
They've
sure.
been inconsistent though. They've had one or two good performances, and
Two good
then
performance, and then but then smashed on Newcastle on the opening day. Whatever, you can write that off. But then, like I said, Liverpool absolutely dominated them. So I don't know. We'll see. I wouldn't say they're a dud though. Yeah, I was gonna say Everton. Wolves haven't looked as bad as I thought they would
they're
be.
definitely not in that bottom three complete trash. They
Yeah.
they have something about them, but they did sell Mateus Cunha, so I'm a little bit
Did
worried.
they?
Yeah, to Man City.
No, Nunez. Martinez Nunez, the center mid. Martinez Cunha is the striker.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
the Brazilian
yeah, yeah,
striker.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I guess I'll just stick with Everton. I can't really.
You're
Yeah.
just a hater, so you've
Yeah.
had them to get
They,
relegated, and
no,
Oh, I mean, like,
they're
yeah,
obviously just terrible as well.
yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm not disappointed in them. I would love for them to get relegated. It would be hilarious, but it would also be one of the most shocking things to happen in a long time, for
mm,
sure.
The only reason I've said this to you before, the only reason I don't want them to get relegated is it removes one of the great derbies in the
Of
Prem.
course.
And like as a neutral fan, like I'd rather watch Liverpool
they're,
Everton than like
they're a huge,
Liverpool versus like Stockport County or
they're
some
a
Of
huge
random
club
course.
bum
as
club.
well.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
like
Yeah,
just to, what you just said, it would be a
Oh, they're a
huge.
massive club,
It would
of
be
course.
huge
Yeah, they're one of the
if
biggest.
they went down.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just such a poorly run club, like I said, and they've been on a downward spiral for so long. I don't
Yeah,
know how much longer they can hold on to.
yeah,
Like, it just,
yeah.
yeah, the amount of money they've spent is insane,
Mm,
considering where they've been the last few seasons.
mm.
It might be the wake up call they need to finally make changes. Like the
Well,
getting
you think
relegated is really like
no, you
holy
think having
shit.
a regulation battle season on, season out, that's your wake
I
up
mean,
call.
clearly they haven't seeded the warnings yet.
I mean,
So
if they get relegated, it would be an absolute disaster. I mean, they're building that new stadium um, by the water. That's going to be completing soon. They have players on high wages. Like
Mm,
it would just I don't know. It would just be financial ruin for them, big
mm.
time. I think they're looking for investors as well. I just like I said, the club's an absolute mess. It's been a mess for a long time.
They what? They need more money.
Oh, well, think about how much money they spend every single transfer window. It's insane. Like very poor
Who's their
transfers.
owners?
I'm
He was on
assuming
Thailand, like Thai. Is it,
I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix. I don't know if it's a single owner, but I think
I'm
it's a mix.
assuming the Iwobi transfer was money motivated. Like
Yeah.
footballing wise, it makes
yeah.
absolutely no sense.
I
Well,
mean,
So
but maybe they need to do it to balance their books as well. To
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, they overpaid for him when they first bought him from Arsenal.
well, I think they sold him for less than what they paid.
Yeah, for sure. But they ended up,
Terrible
but
business.
back to your point earlier, they switched him into a center mid, and he actually became a much better player than he was before.
And you would think that would allow you to sell him for
Yeah,
more, and
yeah,
they've taken a loss
but
on him.
it's probably to balance the
It had to
books.
have been like a deadline day. They needed to make a sale, and
Yeah.
Iwobi was just the easiest guy to get out in a quick.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's probably really shit behind the
I
scenes.
do want to shout out for Duds Burnley because they have been terrible.
Mm.
Yeah,
And I really had a bit of faith in Company to motivate the squad, but they have done absolutely not. They've almost looked worse than the other two.
yeah.
I'm
No.
kind of rooting for Luton, you know.
So
You
know,
always want to root for the underdog.
You
Obviously,
got, yeah, you got to,
Manager's likable.
and the atmosphere is great. You can hear it on the telly, like
yeah,
yeah.
I
The
mean,
manager is likable as well.
Yeah. What was the game? No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got one back quite late on,
Yeah.
and it was like what on the 89th minute, and you're like, go on, Luton, like you can scrape a draw here. So you kind of are like, it'd be amazing if they stayed up, amazing.
But watching them play, you can just tell that they don't have much.
Oh
They
no,
really don't have
no,
much.
they're gonna get absolutely spanked.
well, they
by
have
some
Ross
big team.
Barkley is like their prime signing.
Yeah.
He's been Premier League like trash for the last 5
Mate,
years.
when they used to say he's like the new Rooney when he was like
Yeah.
coming out in Everton, like behave.
Add him to the list of
Yeah.
failed English
Oh, for
prospects that have
sure.
run through the league.
It's all about making that big move, and a lot of times players choose Chelsea, and I feel like that's just always the wrong club to
There's
go
been
to.
quite a few English players that have gone to Chelsea and just wasted their
Yeah.
careers there.
I'm not saying that he would have had an amazing career. Like you never know, but
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. Chelsea's just a black hole of a club sometimes. Like not a lot of players go there and succeed.
Well, the
Mm.
problem with
Tough
Chelsea
careers
is you
there.
go there, then they loan you out, but they don't loan you out to another European,
Yeah.
another European club. They'll loan you out to a championship club. So
Yeah.
you're plying your craft in the championship. Nowadays, it seems like more English players, and this is definitely why the national team is getting better, is because they're going outside of England
Yeah.
to other European countries. There's a reason why France and Brazil have been the best national teams
It definitely helps.
up or down for the
Yeah.
last 20 years is because we have the most exported players in the world. You have French and Brazilian
Mm.
players on every squad all over the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
For
definitely.
the longest time, like the only player outside of England that was like Beckham, like the odd Ashley Cole, Beckham, the odd random English
Yeah,
guy.
It's
Michael
very
Owen.
rare.
There was a few back in the
Yeah.
day as well.
Very
that did
rare,
it.
very rare.
Like
Which is
a few Liverpool players,
Steve
Steve
McManaman.
McManaman,
Yeah.
Real Madrid.
like
Yeah.
you need to go to the clubs like Monaco or Dortmund or those clubs to those clubs play Champions League
I
football.
know, and
So
like I feel like it's just a different way of being developed in your early years as well.
yeah.
So
You learn a different everybody
yeah,
always talks about
it's just
every league's a different type of game,
it's just
right?
more education
Yeah.
for being a student of the game. So
And more experience at the highest level
yeah,
rather than
and
playing in the championship.
being England, obviously Englanders, we're not known for. It's harder, I think, for like an English player to go abroad, learn a new culture, live in a new city. It's very comfortable to stay in the
For
Premier
sure,
League, and
yeah.
I think even those little nuances help your just your overall game, your maturity. Look at Jude Bellingham, like
Yeah.
what he did.
I was just about
Dortmund,
to say,
like
I think it's changing now where players are becoming a little bit more comfortable with
yeah,
it
it's a
because
new generation in it that
absolutely.
wanna do that
Well,
more.
Jude followed Sancho. I mean, sucks that Sancho hasn't really worked out at United,
Yeah.
but he was on his way to being a superstar.
Yeah.
I honestly think if he hadn't gone back to the Prem and he'd made a move to, Spain or, PSG or
I want to
something.
ask you about that actually, Hassan, because
What?
like you watch a lot of
Yeah.
Sancho, and
Yeah.
singing his praises a lot, saying his numbers are like stupid. He's going to
Mhm.
rip up the Premier League. What the fuck's happened?
I don't know. I think I honestly think he could have come to the Premier League and done fine. I think
But
United, you just know how it is. Like sometimes you just come to United. Like not a lot of players cut it out of United. Not saying that there's a curse or anything. But
no, I
think
know,
about
but
it.
what is that about? Right.
It could be partly to some of his attitude problems. It could be, but also there's things about like some of the players that have come there, like Di Maria and
Yeah,
Falcao
yeah.
and
No, I
whatever.
know.
There's a massive list,
For
right?
sure.
I think if he had come to a different club, maybe like an Arsenal, for example,
He has had
whatever.
behavioral issues. Like Dortmund, he was constantly late at training. Apparently, England, he's been from Southgate. He's been disciplined for
Mhm.
for behavioral issues and lateness. And now you're seeing it at United.
Yeah,
Pep said he didn't want to fight for his place at City. Like there is a trail, there is
Yeah.
like a kind of a ongoing theme here with him.
yeah.
And
I-
but you're right. You look at the United signings over the last like 10 years. Fernandez, sure. I'm just trying to think of other players that have actually worked out.
But a lot of world class or top class players have come to United.
And
Just
that's
haven't
what I'm
worked out.
saying.
And
And
like
the only
sometimes
two
you
people
just
I can think of is
yeah.
Fernandez and Shaw. I mean, yeah, I would like to put Casemiro and Martinez into that list because they had a good debut season, but I got to give them another season
Yeah, of
before you
course.
put them in that list because
Yeah.
can't say they've worked yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's a graveyard of a
Yeah.
place at the moment. Like,
So, speaking of transfers,
Mhm.
the window is now closed. All business is done.
Yeah.
Kind of on the studs and duds theme, but I want you guys to give me kind of one transfer that not necessarily, oh, we got the best player at the best price,
Hmm.
but the best transfer as far as influencing the club and making them better on the pitch. And then one transfer you think was just an absolute bust, an overpayment, somebody who just went for too much money, or like the Iwobi transfer, like
Hmm.
an outgoing transfer that literally made no sense.
Yeah. I mean, for my transfer of the window, I would probably go. I don't want to be biased and say Szoboszlai, but he has been fantastic, and I think that's what we've been crying out for so long. But somebody who I was desperate for us to get, and we didn't. But I'm just going to go back towards Madison. He's just been so influential in obviously with Leicester in seasons past. He just always seems like he's going to do something when he has the ball.
yeah,
He's great
so
dribbler.
good, yeah.
His passing, he slices open defense with those beautiful passes that he makes.
Hmm.
He can score from free kicks. He can assist. Like, he's just got it all in his locker, and he's showing that so far. And in the Spurs team, he's just making them tick in the midfield. He's just such a creative presence, and Yeah, he just brings so much to the attack. So I would have to say from Madison.
Have you seen? He seems like a good lad too. Have you seen the
Yeah.
video where
Against Bournemouth,
yeah, where he's walking to the corner and the fans are just giving it to
Yeah.
him, and then he just moves the ball off, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Boo!" And then he just like turns
Yeah.
around, laughs at them, and moves it back.
I
Yeah.
think Gareth's got to give him more of a shout now on the
For
England
sure.
setup.
Well, he finally, yeah, he's gotten called up, so hopefully
Yeah.
he actually plays.
What were
him.
they saying? Gareth's right, you are shy. Gareth's right,
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
shy. Yeah, and he nudges the ball like a few inches and it gives them a wing. And everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Wee."
And then
You
you
can-
hear one guy go, he's a good
Good
lad.
lad, good lad,
isn't
good
he?"
lad. Yeah, he's a good lad. He's a good lad.
I mean, I've been crying. You know how I was in the past competitions with England. I've been crying out for Madison to start more.
Yeah,
Just imagine Rice, Bellingham, and Madison in the same midfield. Rice is just the pivot. He's just the anchor holding it down.
yeah,
Bellingham is just box to box,
yeah.
and then Madison that creative presence. But even let's go. Sorry, just like I know this is a little off, but going back to Jude Bellingham,
yeah.
like he's just unbelievable. He's scoring every single game with Real Madrid. Even Danny Carvajal came out and said, "I've never seen a player not just adapt to the league so quickly, but to in the locker room as well. Like,
That's
he's
so
just
exciting for England.
so friendly." And
so
I
exciting.
I follow Real Madrid, so I see the videos they're constantly posting, and
Especially in
great vibes and
center,
everything.
in the center, we've always struggled with that kind of that big
Yeah.
player. I mean, but you were saying that he's playing more forward in that Real Madrid team.
Yeah,
right?
he's kind of
Not
playing as a
box to box.
Yeah, he's playing box to box, but he's kind of coming in. Like that's why he's scoring so many goals. He's coming in late, and he's got Vinicius. I know Vinicius is injured right now,
Yeah,
but Vinicius and Rodrigo playing kind of as like two false strikers, kind of like two wingers, but they come in more.
right.
But he's coming in through the middle, supporting them, and he's just constantly involved. He's constantly right at the tip of the box or inside the box. It's just
Yeah,
unreal.
fair play. I love that for him. Love
Yeah.
that for England.
I mean,
Yeah.
Rice Bellingham. That's going to be
That's just insane.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
as good as it gets for the next 7-8
For
years
sure.
on the
Yeah.
midfield.
and you
Yeah,
just had put Madison right in front of them, and then obviously Kane and Saka and Rashford. I mean, oh my god, like, the
Yeah.
attacking talent is
yeah,
insane.
it is. Saka
I just
as
hope
well,
Southgate
yeah.
just takes a risk because this is probably his last tournament.
You know he's picking Sterling
Obviously,
and,
yeah.
and Mount.
Yeah, I'm playing
Mount
Maguire.
number 10.
back five,
Maguire, yeah.
back
Back five.
Um,
Phillips as well.
Yeah, how is that guy still making the
I
squad?
don't know,
Man?
man.
He's played like 2 games in 2 years, but
Yeah, well, he played the other day for City, didn't
yeah,
Yeah.
he came on, I think. But
Mine's gonna have to give it to Declan Rice. Talking about Declan Rice,
nice,
I mean, as you opened up passionately, annoyingly about the goal he scored, exactly what you brought him in for. Like you said, worth 105, whatever you've paid for him. United obviously was chasing him for a while. He would have been perfect for United. That kind of
Mhm.
player to just kind of give you that solid spine.
Yeah.
And I even said, obviously, Moisey plays bits more defensively. Arteta, obviously, more attacking football. You're going to see him grab more goals. And I mean, he showed it, right? So I just think he's going to take you guys to that. I don't think you're going to get anywhere near City, by the way. I still think you're going to lose the league by at least like 10, 15 points. But he is going to get you closer for sure.
Yeah, watching him play too. He is dropping a little deeper actually right now to kind of because I think that like I was talking about that midfield is getting clogged up, so that
Mhm.
box mid. So he's dropping kind of deep to pick the ball up. But yeah, he's one of those players you watch and it's not glorious,
yeah,
but I think in that position it's the things that you don't notice that
Mm.
make the biggest difference. It's not those attacking runs, but it's the fact that you don't really see him make too many mistakes, and he does win the ball back, and he always makes kind of the right decision.
Mhm.
So
just think about it as well as his drive, his leadership as well, like those characteristics that he brings to the team. I just think that's what Arsenal needs to take the next step. Like he's just one of those extra pieces they need.
Mm.
and I think that goal as well, like the
Mhm.
fans now are just right into it. Like
For
they're
sure.
all behind him now. That just like you could hear the stadium, the pop blew off or the top blew off. Like
Yeah, it was a big moment.
yeah.
It was a whack moment, but it was a big moment.
He's
Yeah.
he's added that to his game as his career has
Yeah,
gone
yeah,
on. So it's nice that he's doing that at
I
Arsenal.
was
now.
comparing it like in my head when he scored that goal. I was thinking the exact same moment as the Darwin Nunez 2 goals against
Mhm.
Newcastle. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the fans wanted to get behind that player, and then
Yeah.
that happened, and everybody just jumped in there.
Also, just to talk on his character, top lad as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
when they were showing some interviews after the game, and he was just watching
he's
a video.
Brilliant. He's
Yeah.
brilliant he's brilliant to like watch here, like he's
And
getting
even when you
interviews.
listen to him in interviews, he always says the right thing.
Yeah.
Like he's always, even when he was leaving West Ham,
Have you
that
seen-
could have ended, not ended poorly, but you could have slipped up or said, "Oh,
Yeah.
I really want to
No,
move to
yeah.
this club," or nothing.
Everything about him is professional. He
Mhm.
engages with the fans. You see him a lot at West Ham, like with the fans as well, like the kids with his shirts and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's just future captain. He's just hard not to love, really.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to give a shout out. Speaking of, we've all picked midfielders and influence. I want to give a shout out to Sandro Tonali
Yeah,
at Newcastle
yeah,
because he's really brought another dimension to that midfield. I
for
know
sure.
they had some other players in there, but when you watch him, I mean, he's world class. When you watch
Yeah,
him in there passing the ball around, dictating the play,
yeah.
he's got a bit of that attacking flair as well. He can join the attack. I wouldn't say he's on the Madison end of things.
No, no, not at all.
He's a
But
little bit
he's
more of
very
that.
complete though.
Yeah, he's a really, really, really solid midfielder, and I think if they are to repeat, top four,
Yeah,
he's going to play a big, big role in that.
totally agree. And to his credit, I remember all those stories, and it was quite apparent that he wasn't happy leaving Milan. I think Milan, they just wanted to take that big money offer, and obviously they reinvested into five or six different players. But to come to a new country, like comparing Milan, no, obviously no offense to the north of England, but like comparing Milan and Newcastle, completely different different environments, and you could tell like the videos of him first coming there, you could tell like, he was not happy, and
Yeah,
people
the
were calling.
Geordie Shore in Milan, mate.
Oh,
Come on.
yeah, exactly. Honestly, some of these foreign players must come from places like Monaco, Milan, Spain. Look around
Yeah.
North England, and go, "What the fuck is this?" Like the food, the do you know what I mean? The list goes on. Like,
Yeah,
there's,
absolutely. But
yeah.
but to pick yourself up from that and just like you're leaving a club you absolutely adore and love. Like he had no intention of ever leaving it, but obviously Milan took the offer. So yeah, all credit to him. I totally agree with you, Jules. Like he's gonna be a huge player for them this
No, I
season.
think he's probably come, and obviously we joke, like, what the fuck have I got myself into here?
Yeah.
But I think he's come at a time when Newcastle is really showing some intent.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
not only that, Newcastle's always been a great club to play for. Like their fan base, St James's Park,
It's electric.
it's electric. So
Yeah.
like, if you're a purist about your football and you're not just thinking, I want a nice sunny holiday and get paid, hundreds and hundreds of thousands a week and have an easy touch,
And
then you come to these like
absolutely.
the Liverpools, Uniteds,
Yeah.
the Newcastles,
I think he'll
and
he'll play a Champions League match at St James's Park,
Yeah.
and he'll feel the
oh yeah, I'm
atmosphere,
pretty
and
sure he
I
has
think
already.
and he'll be like, okay, this is where I want to be.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So speaking of dud transfers or just transfers that made no sense, I know we kind of discussed the Iwobi sale,
Mhm.
which I would consider one of the bigger question mark transfers. Great for Fulham, but just absurd for Everton, especially in the position they are. Are there any other ones along those lines that you're a bit confused about or just paid too much for?
I'm trying to think. Honestly, I can't really think of a transfer who I think would flop this season as a transfer.
I've got a few in my mind.
Yeah, you want to go first
Well,
then?
I'm just gonna shit on United a bit more. Mount, I kind of like everyone was kind of raising their eyebrows about Mount. You want to kind of trust in your manager. Eric Ten Hag said that he was like my number one, number 10 that he wanted, and I was like, yeah, right, fair enough. He had a bad season at Chelsea. I think he's still a fantastic player, but he's looked average. Um, getting Johnny Evans back into the club, like I don't understand. I really don't understand why we're not going for like just a decent centre back. Like he's been well over the hill for like many seasons now, and we're sticking Maguire and Johnny Evans in as a back
Well, I'm,
two.
I'm guessing the reason why they went for him is because they couldn't get rid of
Well,
Maguire.
for sure. But like United's got to be acting like the best in class, and like the way they're acting is just
So
running the club.
I want to expand on that almost, like, not talking about one transfer specifically, but I think you mentioned it the other day. Everybody kind of thought like, wow, United did some good business,
Well,
They filled the gaps that they needed with Hoyland, Mount,
Hoyland could turn out to be a good sign-in. And who's the Moroccan player?
Amrabat.
Amrabat.
Amrabat. Gonna struggle with that one, but he's he had a decent World Cup. I don't know much about him. But it's a space that we needed to fill. So I'm hoping that he's my favorite phrase, going to hit the ground running. And yeah, but
Yeah, well, it's not. as much the players you brought in, because I think, you did bring in some good players. It's more the players you didn't sell. There was a lot of talk of selling Maguire. That never went through. Um, I think they were trying to get rid of McTominay as well. That never went through. Um, you know, you I mean, Sancho, there's rumors now that he wanted to leave, and that never
Well,
happened.
but
So
yeah, I can't remember who told me today, but it might be Marcus. He said that Ten Hag wanted to push him out last season.
yeah, so I think that there was more to be done, and especially shoring up the defense a little bit. That
Mm.
I think they were trying to get those players out, Maguire, McTominay, to build the funds to kind of make another signing, and it never quite happened.
I mean, it was classic from Ryan. I was saying in the first episode, she can't be trusted. She's
Yeah, I mean, I guess the sale of the club, and it being up for sale, and that might have played a role in it. But
mm.
I think you guys need to sort it out sooner rather than later, because it always seems like it's getting a bit better, and then it kind of
I.
starts
It's exactly right. That
like
is exactly right. That's
Gary
what.
Neville keeps saying the same thing. It's like, a little
two
bit of the
steps forward, one
Yeah,
step
yeah,
back.
pull a band-aid over the crack. It's just
Yeah, it's like when you start thinking like the first season with Ten Hag, after obviously a dismal start again, but you're thinking, all right, I
getting
like this
somewhere.
team.
Yeah.
We're getting somewhere. There's progress. I like the way they're playing. There seems to be obviously he couldn't play from the back if he wanted to, and that's what his style is, and that's why he's brought Olana in, right? Um, but
Yeah,
we'll see how the season unfolds. Like I'm going back on what I said. We're going to struggle to
you're
top
always
four.
doom and gloom, like a classic like English fan, just super down when you had one or two
It has been
setbacks. And
it has been rubbish though.
if you guys beat Brighton convincingly, I'll see another
Oh,
side of you again. Ah, come
make it
on.
third if we beat by him.
Shoot for the title.
Get
Shoot for the
back in,
title.
yeah. Treble.
Well,
um,
since you've gone for a team, I think I'll just go for a team as well because I can't really think of a particular player who I think won't do well in the league.
yeah,
But I'll just go with Everton for the reasons we talked about before. I'll just have that as my pick as flop of the window, just because they got rid of several players. There's definitely a bit of unrest in the hierarchy. Obviously, the Margay situation. I know they brought in a couple of players, but still, like nothing to really, get anybody off their seat. So I'll go with Everton as my flop of the season or
yeah,
flop of the window. Sorry.
that's fair. We've covered it already,
Yeah.
so not too much more to be said. I would say, as an Arsenal fan, when the window closed, I was ecstatic. We filled in the gaps with great players, or so we thought.
Uh-oh.
Timber went down, and he was the one I was most excited about based on the preseason. Now Havertz is looking pretty iffy at best.
Yeah.
Chelsea
I
definitely,
never understood that.
honestly, fuck Chelsea, but they pulled the wool over both
Oh,
their
for
eyes.
sure.
They
Yeah.
got like what 130 million
I
for
never
Mount,
understood.
and
I never understood the habits. Uh,
I understood the
buying him.
concept, and I read a few articles in the Athletic, and people breaking it down, and I was like, that makes sense. He used to play in the midfield.
Yeah.
He'll be a bit better technically, and
Mm,
better offensively than a guy like Xhaka. But then when you see him out on the pitch, it just doesn't work.
no.
I don't know. And I'm not writing him off completely. Maybe he needs some time to develop.
Well, it's the same.
But
Same
as
with
of now, he's still the same Havertz we saw at
oh, for
Chelsea.
sure.
And Mount is still the
Yeah,
same Mount we saw
it
at
is. It
Chelsea.
is early doors
For
though.
sure.
Do you know what
I
I mean?
don't want to overreact,
But
but
I think there is much more to come from Mount. I've still got. I'm obviously not happy with the start, just in general with United. So that's probably why I'm being a bit too harsh on him. I do actually think it'd be a good signing for us
yeah. I
once
mean, I'm
Ten Hag
not.
gets him playing.
I may be overreacting, but two out of the three players we've signed,
Yeah.
haven't done anything. They haven't added any dimension to the club. So Rice has been amazing. The other two have not done anything. So
Mm.
it's kind of a 50-50 in that regard.
Yeah, I would say give Havertz a bit more time because he obviously used to play as an attacking mid with Leverkusen and in Germany. Obviously, in Chelsea, he was playing as a striker, false nine, whatever you want to call it. So obviously, I think just transitioning a little bit different, getting used to the play style, all that kind of stuff. So I would give it a bit more. I'm not a Havertz fan, by the way, at all. I like Arsenal. I'm a Liverpool fan. I like Arsenal. I don't mind Arsenal, but I was annoyed that he went there because I absolutely hate Havertz, and I was happy for him to stay at
Well, the
Chelsea.
first thing I texted Mark is he's like, "Oh, we got him," and I was like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
we really don't.
he was excited about that, was he?
Yeah, Marcus was loving it. He loves German people. Not that I don't like Germans, but
Ooh,
awkward.
awkward.
Yeah, but I've just never liked Havertz, and so like I saw the signing, I was like, well, I read, like I said, I read those articles. They got me a little hyped on how he could be played, and like, oh yeah, he's gonna score way more than Xhaka.
Hmm.
But I was never like, as a footballer, I'm not a huge fan of his, so I have my reservations. We'll see what happens. Um, all right, so this is a little segment I thought up. That's not the quiz. A little segment I thought up called "What is he thinking?" Um, I'm gonna ask you first because it is actually a person, and I want you to tell me what is he thinking. So I want you to kind of get in the mind of this person based around the decisions that they've made. So Hassan, Neymar, what is he thinking moving to Saudi Arabia in the middle of his prime?
I want to say smack down right in the middle of his prime, but he still has several good years ahead of him. What is he thinking? I mean, I found it so disappointing because I've defended Neymar in the past just because I think he's a brilliant footballer. Um, you know my feelings about PSG. I just don't think it's nothing to do with PSG. It's more to do with the league. The French league just isn't strong, and PSG has made it that way. But him going there with that project, it never. I know they made it close a couple times in the Champions League, whatever, but it never really looked like that Galactico model was ever going to work.
No.
And I always wanted to see Neymar in the Prem, and people say, "Oh, can he? Of course, you can handle in the Prem. Like he's played, in Champions League against all these types of teams." So
Mm.
I was hoping that he would eventually move, and he stayed at PSG for way, way too long. And then for him to make the decision to go to Saudi Arabia, it's clearly money. He's probably just
And
been
lifestyle as well.
lifestyle, but he's also probably just given up on his career and the fact that obviously didn't work out with him with Brazil. He obviously got injured, and when obviously then Germany destroyed Brazil that year when he was injured.
Mm.
He's had several injuries in his career. The last tournament, Brazil obviously went out disappointingly. Everybody was shocked about that. They were one of the favorites. Sorry, not clear favorites, but one of the favorites.
And Croatia on it.
Was Croatia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it Croatia or Morocco? Oh no, that's Portugal. Was Morocco? Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I think he just reached a point where he's just fed up. Like the Brazil career is basically over. He's probably got another tournament or two in him, but he's always injured. And to his credit, he's actually played through a lot of injury, and he'll get treatment and whatnot, but he won't wait long enough to come back. You know what I mean? He's always eager to play. So I've always admired that about him. I watched his documentary. He's a very likable person.
So do you think, like, what, speaking of his documentary, you see that he's surrounded by his best mates and, he basically pays them all his salary.
Yeah.
Do you think that had anything to do with it? Do you think he just, like you said, he got fed up and he was just like, I'm here with my boys. I can set them all up for life if I just move to Saudi Arabia, kind of fuck my legacy. It is what it is at this point. People will hate me or love me because that's what he always said in the
Definitely not
documentary.
footballing decision, is it? I mean, for anyone arguing that.
Well, but he could have. Most footballers will say, "Listen, I still have some years left in me. I want to prove people wrong." But in his documentaries, he sort of sounded defeated in the sense that he was like, "I don't really care what people think anymore." Which might be a good thing, but at the same time, it might kind of eliminate that drive, and maybe now all he's thinking about is setting up, his inner circle for life.
Well, he's always been so. For example, like Brazil always have that the Messiah or whatever that they have. Those little phases, right? Obviously Pele, and then they've got Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, whatever.
Yeah.
So Neymar was the next thing, and he did. He obviously won them. I know it's not that big of a deal, but Brazilians love him. He won the Olympics. He's always performed well for Brazil. But again, I think just all those injuries led to a situation where he's just fed up. And like you said, I think it's like every single player going to Saudi Arabia. I'm setting up my whole family and generations and my friends' lives forever. Like if I got offered that contract, I would tell all of you guys, your families to retire, taking care of you guys for the rest of your lives.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
That's why we started the podcast, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Get that
for
offer
sure.
from
Yeah,
Saudi
yeah.
Arabia.
But yeah, so I just, like I said, I'm a little disappointed because in my mind, he was one of the best players in the world for sure. But, I always feel bad for players that go through injuries. Like Michael Owen, for example, like he was unbelievable. obviously major injuries slowed down his career, and he had a shorter career than he probably could have had. Obviously not in the same ilk, obviously, but Daniel Sturridge, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, these are examples of obviously put Jack Wilshere.
Yeah.
Jack Wilshere is a massive one. I mean, yeah, so I always feel bad for players like that, but I feel like that, yeah, just all the pressure that he had in the past, the injuries, and big defeats in terms of just his career in general, big defeats in terms of the injuries, the Brazil, all that kind of stuff. I think it just led, even in the documentary, he talks about his regret going to leaving Barcelona and him trying to go back and engineering a move back that didn't pan out. I think he's just like, okay, you know what? I'm 30 now. I'm at PSG. This project's not going anywhere. Messi's left.
He can never be compared to like one of the greats.
He can't.
He can't.
He can't.
He just can't.
He was one of the best players in his time,
For sure.
like Hazard, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example.
But that prime was
like a lot of players. You can pick out.
Yeah.
Robin van Persie had that like kind of
Yeah.
peak couple seasons where that's the best number 9 or the best right winger in the world. But mate, bang average career in my opinion.
Yeah, like if he came to Man City, for example, last like a season ago, and then won the treble with them or whatever.
Yeah.
Or played a couple of seasons, won another Prem. That's a different story. But yeah, playing for PSG in the French league, where you basically guaranteed the season, never won the Champions League with them. Yeah, like Barcelona was obviously the prime days with him, but yeah, money probably.
Yeah, I mean, disappointing end to a beautiful career.
Our friend Arian's gonna be choked about this, by the way.
He probably doesn't even know.
The mentalities for me has never been there. Like you look at the Messi, and they always put them in the same brackets, right? And then I don't know it. He just seems like it's always been like a lifestyle choice for him. That's why he went to PSG.
Well, this is the argument me and Hassan have always had, and I've always said this about Neymar, and I know we've had some heated arguments about it, but he's just not a winner. He's just not a player that can be your focal point, can be the number one guy to lead a team to victory. Right. And I know, okay, at Barcelona, they did win, but that was Messi driving them. And Messi has proven that he can go to other places and win. He's done it with Argentina. So there's been other examples of Messi leading a team. Neymar has not won anywhere else but with Barcelona. So I've always had that. And there's other players like that in other sports, like basketball has a lot of them. But there's just players that are insanely talented, insanely skilled, like the Jack Grealish types who are just supremely talented in the sense that, they were probably born that way.
Yeah.
But they just aren't winners in the end.
I mean,
I'll still disagree on that, but I don't want to get too much into it.
I mean, this is going to rattle you to the core. The same kind of can be said for a certain Paul Pogba. Internationally, of course, he's won a World Cup. But
that's my argument.
That's your argument. But you look at his club career.
Fair enough.
It's pretty average.
Fair enough. But he did captain. He wasn't the captain, but he did lead the team, the French team, to victory. And if you watch that documentary,
I can't deny.
If you watch that documentary, he's in the dressing room at halftime, yelling at the guys, driving them forward. So
French bias, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, just watch the documentary.
Probably has like hairspray in his hair, putting an Instagram post up.
Man, Giroud sprays his hair every day. He's won every single trophy known to man.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what Neymar was thinking. Money grabbing scumbag. We can all agree on that. Okay.
Have you seen the picture of him as well?
Yeah, flying a 747.
No, he's got like this massive gut, like.
Oh, he's mailed it in at this point.
I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. He wants an easy touch. A lot of Brazilians do that.
Yeah,
honestly, they get
it's not just. I don't think it's just Brazilians.
Oh, they get fat.
They do. But like, no offense to any Brazilians out there, but I think it's also like a lot of it has to come down to also mental. Because obviously Neymar has so much expectations on him.
Yeah.
All the criticism that happened throughout his career, all that attention, and it's happened to English players as well. It's happened to every type of player before.
Yeah.
Where sometimes just that lifestyle, that attention, you just don't have any space to breathe sometimes, and obviously the injuries and stuff like that. You're dealing with all these moving factors at the same time. Where, like I said, you just become defeated, and you're just like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna pay for the check.
Yeah, he's taking the easy road out, the lifestyle road out.
Anyway, I think we're repeating ourselves. We're all in agreement that he's crap.
All right. On the more controversial side, And this won't be a what is he thinking, but it'll be a what are they thinking. So Callum, Manchester United, what are they thinking sending Greenwood to
Getafe.
Getafe rather than cancelling his contract?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? They're keeping tabs on him. They're testing the waters. He's arguably 100 million pound asset to the club. You know, they didn't cost him a thing. Arguably as well, he was one of the best young players in the world when he broke out in his first season. He scored like, what was it, nearly 18 goals or something?
I can't remember the numbers, but he was absolutely killing it for
Left,
sure.
left foot, right foot, very Van Persie-esque. Like the guy was mustard, and he was becoming my favorite player. You know, it is a horrible subject to talk about because you know we've all heard the audio, we've all seen the pictures. There's no excuse in that.
If you haven't heard the Greenwood audio, just Google
It's
Greenwood domestic violence audio,
so
and you'll know what we're talking about.
yeah. I don't want to talk about if if he's innocent or he's not. I think we can all make our own minds up there after looking at the audio, listening to the audio and seeing the pictures. But we all know the charges got dropped. So that doesn't technically mean he's not guilty. It just means that there were witnesses to put the charges upon the stand. So United have seen their £100 million asset and thought if they bought the club into dispute, let's just cancel his contract, get rid of him. We don't want the bad PR. However, they've not done that. They've loaned him out because he's got 2 years left on his contract. And they're thinking, let's just test the waters. Let's just see how he gets on. And I can guarantee you, if he has an absolute worldie of a season, that United will probably try and maneuver him back to United in a very safe PR way with the sponsorships, and because they're the ones who get itchy feet. So they're just probably just trying to test the waters to see what the backlash would be. But this is all based on if he has a cracker of a season. I mean, if he's not looking great, it's just easier to get rid of him after that.
Where do you think it'll go? Do you think even if he does super well, do you think they'll just not risk anything whatsoever in terms of just selling him?
No,
Or
I
they-
think well, no, that's a really good question actually.
Yeah.
No, I think they'll really think hard on bringing him
So
back.
I'll reword my question. Like, do you think they're just trying to bring his value back up and get rid of him and just be like, we're Manchester United, we
I
don't
think-
want to deal with this.
I
we
know,
don't
I
want
understand.
this
Yeah,
on
yeah. No, I think it's a great question. I think it's both.
Mhm.
So that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
First and
Give
foremost,
themselves options.
give themselves options. They're of course trying to get his value back up. You know, I want to say time heals all wounds because it's obviously a horrible thing he's done. But if he has a world of a season, his value goes up. They can either sell him or they can think, hey, we can bring him back to United. Don't know how they will do that because you know what the English press is like. You know what the English fans are like.
Right. It's going to be a bloodbath if they try to do that.
Yeah, it might be. It depends how good the PR is.
Well, what do you? I know you obviously liked him before all this kind of
I
stuff
loved him.
happened.
Yeah,
And he's obviously, putting everything aside, he was obviously one of the best young players in the world.
yeah.
Let's just say he has a cracker of a season, value goes up. Do you want United to keep him, or do you want United to sell him?
Oh. I've got to stand by my morals. I think it's best that it's hard, really.
Yeah,
I think it's best that he can't play for United again.
Yeah.
He just can't.
Well, that's what I was listening because I'd heard somebody ask a similar question, and people were asking if Greenwood scores for United, are you going to cheer? And the person said, "Well, I'll cheer obviously because United scored a goal."
Yeah.
Am I cheering Mason Greenwood? No, I'm just happy we've scored a goal. And it's similar, like
It's
if you listen to Michael Jackson now,
yeah.
it's very similar. Like the accusations were never proved or anything. Are you supporting Michael Jackson because of
you got to take the man away from the artist.
exactly? So it's a little bit of a similar
It's,
argument.
it's a really difficult conversation to have, and there's so many layers to it as well because if you do something really bad when you're a young man, are you not allowed another chance at redemption? Does that mean you've got to be completely cancelled and written off for the rest of your life? That's going to have to follow him. He's come out and said he's working on things that he didn't always behave in the right way, but he's still denying the allegations as a whole.
And he's still with his partner.
And he's still with his partner.
So.
They've had a kid now, so it's difficult because the thing is we've all heard the audio.
Yeah.
And that's what's really going against him. So to answer your question, I don't think he should play for United again. and it hurts to say that because you're looking at a young, he was 18 when this happened,
Yeah.
18, 19, a young kid that had the world at his feet,
For sure.
the world at his feet, and he's just fucked it up for himself,
Hmm.
being a stupid little boy. And maybe fight. He's not going to be the same man he was. Oh no, it's difficult.
I mean, we can do a whole podcast
You really
episode on
could,
this.
yeah.
Well,
It's
mate,
definitely
maybe I should
deep.
be asking the Getafe board, what are you thinking? Like,
Yeah.
why would they? I just don't understand why they would bring, unless they've like, I don't know, they don't speak English and they can't listen to the audio
Where are
file.
they sitting in the league? Like what?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, the season just started,
Let's
so it's
say
not like they
a
were
few
in a
games.
relegation
Yeah,
battle
they're
yet.
a few games in, but
Right, I mean, like last year, like
I can't remember, to be honest.
yeah,
I mean, good, like, aside from everything that's happened, good for him for finding a place that will allow him to play football again.
so that's what we need to do is focus on his football, and just kind of work on himself.
Yeah, despite what happened, you do want him to just objectively become a better person.
Yeah,
So
of
if
course.
that's what he's on track to
Yeah,
doing,
yeah.
fair
There is a
enough.
redemption story there, if yeah.
Obviously, my views on it, like that's the most scum thing you can ever do.
Mm.
Are people redeemable? Of course they are, right? We've all made mistakes. Maybe not as hectic as that, but we are all
I should hope
redeemable.
not.
Sorry.
I should hope
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
But just because obviously United being who they are, I don't like. Obviously, I don't like United or anything like that. But I don't think he should ever play for United as
No.
well. And I just don't think it's good for the club,
No,
and
it's not.
it's not for what the club stands for. And
No, it's
yeah.
not.
Well, in the end, we've figured out that both decisions, the Neymar decision and the Greenwood decision, are money based. Really,
Yeah. Well,
United want to get some
I-
return on this $100 million
I do
asset.
have a sneaky feeling though that, like I said, they are. I think first and foremost, as you said, they are trying to get his value back up. So
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah,
it's
they
a
might
really
be.
good point. Really good point.
They could maybe just sell him to Getafe and be like, "You guys like him?
Well, he's
Have
got
him
two.
for
He's got
15
2
mil."
2 years left on his contract. Obviously, a year loan. If he has an absolute worldie, let's just say he has a worldie, then it puts him in a really good position to sell him to a bigger club that's going to take the flack or the PR, the risk with him. Or I've sneaky feeling. I'm thinking, how can we maneuver him back to United?
That was my initial thought. Was they'll send him there, kind of far away from England, away from the issue. See if he just comes back, plays football. See at what level he's at, first of all. But second of all, maybe people will just kind of it'll just go under the rug and we'll forget about it and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But
I mean, United could.
United media, if he tries to make the return, I don't think will be the issue. It's every other media in the country
And
are
fa-
going to
and the
be.
fans.
And the fans, the fans,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
fans
Are
won't
going to
accept
be
it.
unloading
Yeah,
on him. The chance are going to be grotesque. Like, so I don't even know if I were him, I don't even know if I'd want to return to
Yeah.
England to play football after that
It's
because
a
he's
good
going to
point.
get
There was a
torn
there was a
to
bunch of
shreds.
there's a bunch of our own fans as well.
Yeah,
That
no,
protest
The
next.
Man United fans will not be happy about it.
No, they
Man,
wouldn't.
he'd get torn. I've said like
Depends how he does.
Kurt
though,
Zuma.
doesn't it?
Kurt Zuma kicked a cat,
Yeah,
That's disgraceful.
and he was getting torn to shreds just for
Yeah.
kicking a cat. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not good, but
of
it's
course, yeah.
a whole different level.
Yeah, but just going back to your money point, I think it's kind of sad to see. Like we obviously all know it's just the reality. It's a big business. It's just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's gotten bigger over the last 20, 30 years. But you just think about the hierarchies of old, the managers of old, the owners of old. It wouldn't even be a question. But now because players are not viewed as people or what they do, off the field, they're just viewed as assets.
Assets, yeah.
So that's kind of sad to see sometimes, in a situation like this. But I think United, based on all of their history and the morals and what they stand for and all that kind of stuff, definitely should never let them play
No,
again.
they could play it as we've got a duty of care to look after this boy. He's been with us for
Mhm.
the best part of his entire life, and we can't just leave him in the lurch. We want to put him through like the therapy, build him up, and
But then you can argue, okay, but you guys are putting him on a loan. He seems like he's trying to improve. Blah blah. Why do you need? You've done
Yeah.
your part.
yeah, I know.
You
I'm just
I
kind
know
of
you're talking about
trying to
both
think
sides.
how they could
Justify it.
spin that and
Yeah.
justify it to England.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of the story. If anybody comes to them and asks, that would be a very compelling argument to just say, listen, he did something wrong. but we've always believed in second chances, and we want him to be a better person, and we're working towards that and all these things.
Yeah, we got a duty of care to look after him.
Yeah.
You know,
No chance he plays for England though ever again.
No.
Doesn't matter how good he is. If he's
Well,
scoring Haaland numbers, there's no chance.
yeah, but imagine.
50 goals a
No
season.
way.
Now, what's the number before he gets the call up? 50?
Yeah.
Southgate's just.
He's on 49. He's like, oh, 50. Let's do it.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't think that. No.
But yeah, I mean, silly boy.
Yeah. All right. That's kind of the first month preview, a couple fun little segments. Now, like I said earlier, I would like to end on a little head-to-head football quiz.
I'm gonna absolutely be dog shit.
There's going to be 2 rounds, and it'll be points-based, so whoever gets the most points in round 1 will be 1-0 up.
Okay.
If you get the most points in round 2, either somebody wins 2-0 or it's a 1-1 draw. And then we have a little tiebreaker at the end. So I might need your help to just count how many correct answers. Actually, can you just count to 30 seconds? Because we're giving you a 30-second.
Oh, no, he's against me though. I don't trust that.
Just count to 30 seconds.
How about you put
Or
the
do you have
time?
a timer?
Put the timer on the
I
laptop.
have a timer on the laptop. I am
Yeah.
doing
Let's put
nothing.
it here just so I can see it.
Yeah. Hold on.
Stop Googling.
I'm
Stop.
not Google. I didn't even know the questions yet.
Okay,
Do I?
well, just put it here so I can see the timer.
Well, then I can't see what I'm doing. It should stay on my lap.
What are you trying to do? Stop Googling.
Well, you need a stop.
I just need a stopwatch and I'll just
You need a
hit.
stopwatch.
Yeah.
And you put it right here.
Hold on, stopwatch. That's my Siri on, so I can talk to it.
Cal's a little bit worried about this, but the questions are reasonable.
No,
I haven't gone too hard.
I'm terrible at quizzes. My brain's
Okay.
gonna. There you go. There you are. Oh, it's quite far away. My laptop there.
That's fine. All right. So 30 seconds on the clock, Hassan. Round 1. Name. Hold on. Let me press start. Name. Every Tottenham player you name, you get 1 point. Starting now.
James Madison, Heung-min Son, Kulusevski, Vicario, Romero, Van den Ven, Højbjerg, Sanchez, Eric Dyer, Bissouma, Richarlison, Solomon, Pedro Porro, Forster.
Done. Okay. So that was, if my count is correct, 15.
I think it's probably yeah.
I think it was. Sorry, I needed the pens to jot down how many you got. So I think you had 15. So 15 points so far. Cal, your question is going to be very similar, but with a different team. I gave you a little bit of an easier team. They've been in the news a lot more. So I'll write 15 next to Hassan. All right, 30 seconds on the clock. Hold on. 30 seconds.
I've already got a block.
All right. I'll give you 5 seconds. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about it.
You just about to give me my laptop.
Start the timer. You've already given.
Is the block out of your head?
No, man.
Okay. 30 seconds on the
It's
clock.
going to be a top 4 team, and I'm going to go for like a few players, mate.
30 seconds.
Fine, you got this.
30 seconds on the clock, Callum. Name as many Chelsea players as possible.
Fuck's sake. Sterling, Conor Gallagher, fuck. Who's the Brazilian in centre back? Mate, that's it. That's all I've got. That's all I've got, mate.
They needed the chance for news the whole time.
I know, that's all I've got, mate.
So you got 2.
Who they get for Brighton?
2.
Oh, what's his name?
I'll give you Thiago Silva.
Thiago Silva, yeah, that's the one.
Okay, 30 seconds.
To say it. It's a casino.
Yeah, can't say it. I'll give you 4.
Fuck.
All right, that was a big effort.
Unbelievable.
15 to 4. Nice.
Yeah.
Good effort. So that's round 1. 1-0 Haas. All right, so this might be a clean sweep, but I've given Haas a harder question here again, just to give you a chance. All right, Hassan, 30 seconds on the clock. Name as many Premier League managers as you can.
Sean Dyche, Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, Pochettino, Arteta, De Zerbi, Unai Emery. Who else? Postecoglou. Why can't I think?
This was easy.
Vincent Company.
I could have done this one.
Marco Silva. Who else? Which team? am I
United,
saying?
Janssen United.
Oh, Ten Hag.
I'm not giving you that one.
What do you mean? You cheated on the first one, man.
I mean, it wasn't even close. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 managers. Not bad. Okay, well, I think Callum's screwed. I thought I was giving him the easier
No,
one.
you give me club keepers. I've just saw it.
Yeah.
There's zero chance of getting any of that.
I thought that would be a bit easier.
No.
How about any keepers in the league? Not doesn't have to be starting keepers, just any keepers.
This is ridiculous.
Is that easier? Yeah, I thought that was an easier question than managers.
Now it is, especially with unlimited keepers instead of starting.
Yeah, any keeper in the Prem starting. Or,
Just go start it now. You give me two seconds.
No, I can't even think of the Everton keeper. He's just
Go.
completely.
Go.
Start.
Mate, that's just a complete blank.
Name your keeper first.
Onana. What's
Okay.
my name? Allison. Fuck.
Man City.
No, hey, stop giving me hints. Come on. Man.
Aaron Ramsdale. The Everton number one, Nick Pope.
TikTok.
Shut the fuck up, Nick Pope. Who's the fuck me?
Ederson.
Jesus Christ.
So that's another 4 points.
Forster.
Forster.
The Sheffield guy. We just saw.
Yeah, why are you going for such obscure teams? Just think like, okay, Man City, Ederson, Chelsea,
Sanchez.
Sanchez. Yeah, well, that would have been tough.
Yeah.
I guess they still
Kepa? No, he went to Real Madrid.
no, another they on what's his face is gone as well, Mendy.
Who gives a bollocks about keepers?
Oh man, I was just trying.
Hey, don't disrespect keepers, mate.
I was trying to give you a game. I'll give Callum one chance to redeem himself. A final question for 2 points.
Why? What is happening now?
I'm
He will have zero chance of getting this. I don't even think you'll have a chance of getting this.
Excuse you.
Okay, so I'll give you unlimited time, but you can't Google it. No, I'll give you 30 seconds, but it's only to name one player. So Callum for 2 points on the tie. Name one player on Luton Town.
Oh, mate, come on.
That is not Ross Barkley.
Don't start the time. What are you doing? Is that I can't.
Not one player on Luton Town.
No.
I'll give Hassan plus 2 points and the clean 4-0 victory if you can name one.
All right, my fans, you guys ready for this big win?
I've got to do my
Former
research.
United legend, Chong.
Oh yeah.
Do you know his first name?
Tahith Chong, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Great haircut. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean Ross Barkley was the obvious one.
Oh, yeah,
They
I forgot Chong.
I mean, I had thought about that question a couple days ago, and I had to look it up myself. I was like, oh, yeah, Ross Barkley, nice. All right, that's a 4-0 victory for Haas.
I'm never playing this again.
Reminds me of Liverpool versus United these last couple
Yeah,
of years.
I'm never playing this again.
So Haas is the first one in the win column on the quiz. Callum, you're gonna have to either practice a little more or host the next quiz.
Definitely hosting.
Get your revenge. Aside from that, that is it for episode 2 of the podcast. We will be back. Not sure if we're going to do anything over the international break, but we'll think about it. If not, we'll be back either previewing the first week back of the Prem or recapping the first week back of the Prem. So thanks again for watching and see you guys later.
You never walk alone.